Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Yes, wonderful. Okay, perfect. So thanks so much for joining me here this morning. I see there's a few of us who have shared where we're joining in from. So we have Petawawa, Moose Jaw, Ottawa, any other different places where we're joining in from today. I'm in Halifax, Trenton, Borden, wonderful, all over the place. Halifax also, East Coast, Fredericton. Great. I love seeing, every time I do one of these webinars, seeing where everyone is joining in from. And the fact that we can all connect here is super great. Where normally we're just kind of in our own little bubble here in Halifax. So it's nice to reach a little bit further across the country when doing these webinars. So I really appreciate you joining in. I know further west, of course, it'd be a lot earlier in the morning there. So thanks for getting up and starting your Friday with us. So for those of you who haven't filled out the poll, there is a poll question just asking what your affiliation is within the CAF community. So if you can just take a quick second to just click your answer, that would be wonderful. There will be 2 more poll questions at the end, so just stick around and fill those out. It just really asks about the content of this presentation, and then also speaks to what you thought of this platform itself. There will also be some handouts that I've put together that I'll start releasing as we go through the presentation. And hopefully, I've never used handouts before, but I would assume that you can likely download them to keep them. Hopefully that works out. So we have about 14 of us here, which is great. A good, small, intimate group. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to just type them into the chat box and I can answer them as they come along. I will be shutting the the webcam off just during the presentation so that you can have a fuller screen with the presentation. So we will get started here. So I put together this presentation, or not really put it together, but I chose the topic for this presentation quite a few weeks ago when I was kind of under the assumption that we would be back to work in June. I know it's different across all of the country, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen as much as I thought it was going to. So Nutrition on the Go, the content that's in this, or that was supposed to be in this, was really a big focus on like getting back into the routine of when your life goes back to whatever we're going to soon call normal, and what the best choices are when you're on the go, as opposed to just like going through a drive-through or whatever. So I've kind of put a bit of a spin on this to kind of make it so that we'll focus on building habits for when we do go back to work, but also for things when we're on the go, even during the pandemic, because we still go places and get around, especially with the weather getting a bit warmer. So this topic is kind of a twofold. We'll focus on both aspects of those. So before we get started, I just have to share this information. So the presentation you're about to view is the intellectual property of the Department of National Defense. Any reproduction or retransmission of the slides contained in this presentation is strictly forbidden. Some of the topics discussed in this webinar may be of a sensitive nature and not appropriate for children, so we ask for parental discretion. Please understand that people's stories are theirs alone to tell, and anything that's shared by participants in this webinar, whether it's on camera or in the chat, is not to be discussed outside of the webinar. And then finally, this webinar is being recorded, and it will be available for viewing later on cafconnection.ca. So although active participation is encouraged, so you are more than welcome to type out questions, you can also just simply follow along without using the chat functions if you prefer. So Nutrition on the Go, question mark. That's I kind of started and alluded to that topic and why this topic was chosen. But prior to the global pandemic, one of the most asked questions from family and friends was, how do I eat on the go? So I should probably start this off. I didn't really introduce myself. But my name is Victoria and I'm a health promotion specialist in Halifax, and I'm also a registered dietitian by trade. So I have a wealth of knowledge within nutrition, and I'm Not an expert in all topics, but I did do private practice previously. I worked in the food safety industry for WestJet Airlines, public health positions. I kind of have been involved in quite a few different sectors. But in my private practice, really one of the main concerns for people was, what am I supposed to eat when I'm on the go? So some of them may have been traveling for work, being on the road in sales positions or whatnot, going on vacation. So you're maybe going on a road trip, and of course, bringing your kids to sports and recreation practices. So I personally don't have kids yet, but I know some parents who do get off work and then immediately go home or go to school, grab their child, bring them to their soccer practice, whatever, with no time to really come home and prepare food. So this is really going to delve into the options that are available for us when we don't have the opportunity to come home and sit down and have a meal. So even though right now we don't have a whole lot of places to go, beside maybe curbside grocery pickup or to your backyard or garden, many provinces, Nova Scotia included, has opened up provincial parks and beaches, which we can really take advantage of for our mental health, of course, and then also to start practicing these skills of taking food with you on the go. So this will help us get better practiced for when we do return to our new normal of going back to work and running the errands that we used to run. So nutrient dense. So has anyone heard of this word, 2 words before, nutrient dense, and what it means? Maybe, maybe not. It's okay, I'm going to tell you. So what I mean when I say nutrient dense, it means that our snacks and meals should always really contain 3 main components. This would be protein, fat, and fiber. So having the 3 of these each time you are not only on the go, but anytime you're preparing for a snack or meal. So your body uses, so the first component, protein, so your body uses protein to build and repair tissues. It's an important building block made up of what we call amino acids, and these form together and have different functions within the body, but most importantly, it really helps to repair muscles, help your bones, repair cartilage, skin, and also through your blood as well. So it has a lot of functions. Fat, on the other hand, can actually be stored in the body to be used as fuel when necessary. So the main source of fuel for our body is carbohydrates. But in the event that we're low on carbohydrates, the fat that's stored in your body can then be used for energy. So it's important to have a good amount of that stored in the event that you haven't had many carbs. Fat is also really satiating, so it can help you feel full for longer. So we'll talk about pairing different snacks together and how to make sure that you feel full and satisfied. And that includes adding some fat in there. And then finally, fiber, the third component. This is available in carbohydrate sources, so your whole grains, your fruits, and your vegetables. And fiber helps to slow down and bulk up digestion, again, which allows us to stay full for longer. So for anyone who eats whole grain bread or bagels or anything really along those lines that have a high amount of fiber in it, you will notice significantly that you will stay fuller for much longer than if you were to just have a piece of white refined bread, because that white bread doesn't have the fiber in it to really keep you full. So the ideal of what we would like to do on a daily basis is sitting at a table calmly and slowly enjoying your food. So sharing that, if you have a family or roommates or whomever, sitting down at your table and really enjoying the meal that you're consuming, because it's all about enjoying what you're eating and not just eating because you know that you have to. But often what really happens is that we lose track of time while finishing up your last work email. you forget to eat, or you're too tired to cook after a busy work day. And then at this point, anyone who has kids, not only are you working, you may also still be educating your kids to keep them up to date on schoolwork. So we want to get in the habit of allowing ourselves to prioritize healthy eating, even if you're extremely busy. So I really want to say that, and this is a little bit off topic, but something that I like to add in is that when we're working from home, it's really important to still take your breaks as you would have while you were in the office. So really taking the time, not only for your mental health and your sanity, there's a lot going on around us, but also so that you're really taking the time to have your full meals, taking time for breaks to have snacks, going for a walk, all that kind of stuff. So really, 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 really separating your work from your home will make a big impact on how you eat. So keeping our current lifestyle in mind during the pandemic, but also helping us to practice and implement habits for when we return to work, we're going to base these conversations and discussions on what eating on the go would normally look like. So now we may only have a 1-minute commute to work versus an hour. So let's aim to put these to practice even now. So eat breakfast at home. I have a bad habit of doing this, of not eating until I get into work. That's something that I'm trying to break. I'm now getting in the habit of waking up earlier than I would have on a normal work day and sitting down at the table, having a cup of tea and enjoying my breakfast. So this is something that even myself as a dietitian and other dietitians I know, we don't always practice what we preach. We're all human. But one thing I do really want to reiterate is the importance of really eating breakfast at home. So starting your day off with the most important meal of the day. So having your breakfast sets your day off to a good start. Nutrition really contributes to brain health, including concentration and memory. By consuming a breakfast with all of the macronutrients, so these would be our carbohydrates, our protein, and our fat, you're fueling your brain to have a productive day. So you may notice on days when you don't eat breakfast in the morning that for the day you're pretty sluggish. You might not be able to concentrate as well. And it really does play a part in how your day is going to go if you don't have the time or you haven't made the time to consume breakfast. So I recommend eating your breakfast at home, giving you your time at the dining room table to relax with your meal, a cup of tea or coffee, while catching up on the news or social media. Sometimes we may have a later night and sleep may seem more important than breakfast, which happens to me quite often. So for this, I recommend different on-the-go breakfasts. So this could be overnight oats. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that. You can just do a quick, simple Google search for overnight oat recipes. And these are a great thing. You just prepare them the night before, stick them in the fridge, and then put them in a mason jar or something. And then as you're heading out the door, bring it with you in the car. Other ideas would be a smoothie, of course. Those are perfect for on the go. Omelet cups. So really, for those of you who aren't familiar with this, it's just simply you're making an omelet in a big bowl with a bunch of eggs and veggies and cheese and whatever you want to put in your omelet. And then you're pouring it into muffin tins and baking them in the oven. And then these can be heated up in the morning just before you go in the car. And then you have an on-the-go good protein, egg, fat, vegetable source to consume on your way to work. So I also put in on the slides here different options for food to eat at home. So again, really focusing on nutrient dense. So the first one we have oatmeal. So that would be a good carbohydrate portion with a good amount of fiber. We have banana, which is also a carbohydrate, but giving us all kinds of great nutrients from being a banana. And then the peanut butter, which is our fat source, which is going to help, of course, to flavor the food and also to help keep us fuller for longer. So packing snacks. So I like to be that person who carries snacks everywhere. So I have snacks in my purse. I have snacks in my backpack. I have snacks in my car. I have snacks in my desk at work. While working from home, I do actually have a makeshift office set up here in my kitchen. And I have a drawer that I set up, just one of those little things from IKEA that I've put some snacks in that I would normally have during a general work day. The other option, of course, is if we're working from home, your kitchen is simply right there. You can go and grab something as well. But really being prepared to have those snacks purchased and ready for you to take to work when the time comes for that. So in normal life, having snacks alongside you can help you get by while you may be stuck in traffic, dropping your kids to and from activities, or having back-to-back meetings. So really just having something that's quick and easy to go. So be in the habit also of having a snack in between your meals to keep your brain fueled and avoid hunger pains. So this will help us to encourage us to avoid fast food because really what's faster than desk drawer snacks? Can't really beat it. So really what I always recommend is to make sure that you're eating a consistent meal and snack throughout the day. So you have your breakfast, a couple hours later, you have a good nutrient-dense snack, whether that's a handful of almonds, a granola bar, a piece of fruit, have your lunch, have a good afternoon snack. Again, same kind of thing, celery, peanut butter, just something small that's gonna fill you up, and then having your supper at night. So making sure that you're not going any longer than 2 to 3 hours in between meals so that you keep your brain health and your body functions up and running. So I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to share one of my handouts here specific to snacks. Let's see how this works. Okay, share now. So it looks like you can download it, which is pretty cool. Great, it's a few clicks there. So perfect, yeah. Thanks, Farhan. I think it may have worked. These are some handouts that we prepared here in Halifax during Nutrition Month in March, which unfortunately was cut short with the COVID-19. But they're a great resource to have. So it talks about different snack options. Thank you, Lisa. Different snack options along with different vegetable and fruit pairings to keep you full. So hopefully these will be of good use to you. Feel free to print them off or share them with family or friends or whatever. We make these resources for you, and we hope that they are well utilized. So I just threw this in there to show you that it's quite possible to make a healthy homemade granola bar for on the go. So this recipe, you can just take a screenshot of this if you have it. I got this recipe from an app called Cookspiration. I'll write this in here. It's powered by Dietitians of Canada, so it's coming from a reputable source. All of the ingredients would be considered energy dense and healthy. You can feel free to substitute some of the options that are within it if you don't like dates. You can find a different way to flavor this granola bar, or there's all kinds of other great recipes online. What I would recommend is if you're doing a quick Google search for recipes for granola bars or anything along those lines for good snacks, making sure that you're getting it from a dietitian or a nutritionist, preferably a dietitian, just for the sake that dietitians definitely have the educational background and knowledge and are regulated to be able to post recipes and make sure that they're good, hearty ingredients. Cookspiration, so Cookspiration is an app that you can get on your phone, or you can go on the website as well. It's an app created by Dietitians of Canada, so it's a perfect resource. And it has great recipes on it. They usually add and change some. When you go on, it'll kind of tell you you choose like what time of day it is, what activity you're doing, and it'll give you snack suggestions related to that. So it's a really great go-to. So the reason that I usually promote making your own granola bar is because a lot of the store-bought ones are just jam-packed with sugar. So you will see that this recipe does have dates, which is carbohydrates, which contain sugar, and it also has honey, which is sugar as well. So I always like to say that yes, sugar is sugar, whether it's just refined sugar or whether it's sugar that comes from honey or maple syrup. But the difference with honey and maple syrup is that although your body still turns into glucose when you consume it, and it's still considered sugar, it doesn't spike your blood sugar as quickly as if you were to just eat a granola bar from the store. So it's more of a complex form of sugar that doesn't spike your blood glucose. It really just puts it on a bit of a bell curve so that you don't get that huge burst of energy and then that quick drop. It's more of a gradual energy that kind of goes up and then slowly goes down. So it keeps us fuller for longer, and it doesn't give us, it doesn't make us feel fatigued or yeah, it's kind of what I'm trying to reiterate here is that sugar is sugar, but using honey or maple syrup or using natural forms of sugar like dates is gonna help you stay fuller for longer and not give you a big burst of energy and then take it away from you. So if we talk a little bit about road trips, that's about as far as we're going to get for a little while. So really taking advantage of the summer coming up, the beautiful springtime that you may be having in your province, and going on short little road trips just down the road from you, maybe even going into your backyard to go camping because maybe the campgrounds aren't open, but really just kind of making it seem like you're going on an actual road trip or doing something super exciting. And you want to make sure that you have all these super great snacks packed. So bringing a picnic blanket and a packed cooler or even a picnic basket that has some ice packs in it. This gives us the option to have healthy food available all the time when it's time to eat. So great picnic approved snacks would be cutting up some fruit and vegetables before you leave your house and pairing it with hummus or guacamole. So the fruit and vegetables is going to be your fiber and your carbohydrate. That's going to give you that energy. And then your hummus or guacamole is going to have that fat component. So it's going to help you stay full for longer. Tortilla chips and salsa. So again, tortilla chips being our carbohydrate, salsa being a source of vegetables. And then, of course, pre-making sandwiches or wraps. Again, always putting a focus on whole grain. Not only is it going to keep you full for longer, but it has great aspects in keeping your health in check, your heart, your cholesterol, all that good stuff. And of course, always having water with you. So in the hot weather, you need a lot more water than what you may need on a cold winter's day, but making sure that you always have enough water with you. I can't stress that enough. So sometimes we may have to go to a convenience store, and that's perfectly fine. Maybe you didn't have the time to pack the snacks. It's quite possible too that you might be going on a longer road trip and you're afraid of perishable foods spoiling. So I put together just a couple little bits of information on good choices in the convenience store, and then kind of medium ground choices, and then kind of your eat these less choices. So what I really want to focus on here is we always want to aim for better, but not perfect. So we can't always be perfect in what we're eating, and I don't want anyone to, because I think it's really important to have balance and to have that hot dog if you really want it, but making sure that you're balancing it with some other great things as well. So here I just want to talk about when we're thinking about protein sources, eating more, so you're going into the convenience store, choosing things like your plain Greek yogurt, maybe pre-cooked hard-boiled eggs, so not all the time, but sometime, string cheese, protein bars, beef jerky, and flavored yogurt, and then, of course, eating less of the hot dogs and fried chicken that you always smell immediately when you walk into a convenience store. Next, a little bit about carbohydrates. So, of course, always eating fresh fruits, fruit salad, fresh fruit preferred because fruit salad is often kept in a syrup base. Dried fruit, unsweetened, and then again, choosing whole grain bread, bagel, or English muffins. So I really like to talk about how fruits and vegetables are really a really great snack to just kind of always have on hand. They provide, each fruit and vegetable has their own nutrient components, and they all contribute to really great properties for the body. So really just always having a good variety of fresh fruits and fresh vegetables around, and grabbing those when you're in a convenience store. Eating some, so pretzels, you can have some, crackers. So when I think of crackers, I think of like Triscuits, like something like whole grain and hearty, a granola bar that's oat-based, and a cereal bar. And then, of course, eating less of those yummy snacks that we might crave, like chips, candy bars, pastries, and sugar candy. And then finally, fats. So when you go into the convenience store, some really great little things that I've seen in the gas station are the pre-packed hummus and vegetables. That's a great snack. There's also another one now that's little tortilla sticks and guacamole, another super great snack for on the go. Mixed nuts. So if you're going to the convenience store and you go to the area where they have their nuts and seeds, making sure that you're choosing options that are unsalted, because they can be pretty jam-packed with salt. Eating some trail mix. So trail mix would include like dried fruit, maybe M&Ms, something to add a little bit of sweetness in there. Flavored nuts, like I talked about, like maple syrup covered peanuts or something. Really trying to veer away from those. And then dark chocolate. So you can have some dark chocolate. And then, of course, again, eating less of those chips, candy bars, and pastries, but really reiterating that it is all about balance. And when we're on road trips, we might want to have these snacks, and that's perfectly fine. So to make a convenience store meal, you want to have 1 to 2 proteins. So this could be a type of soy-based protein like edamame, chicken. I don't know, they might have pre-cooked chicken at the convenience store, I'm not really sure, but really trying to choose what proteins might be available. 1 to 2 carbs, so that could always be fruit or some type of whole grain. 1 to 2 fats, so some type of nut or seed has a good amount of fat in it. Peanut butter, hummus, guacamole, and then veggies, of course. So bonus points if you choose a good variety of veggies. So the ideal. So we've talked about nutrition on the go, so now we want to delve in a bit more on the absolute best choices to keep you full and fueled for longer, and what these options provide to your body. So again, really reiterating and focusing on nutrient dense, which is your protein, your fat, and your fiber. Nuts and seeds. So if you've had the opportunity to tune into a few of our other webinars, or you may be familiar with the basics of nutrition, regardless, nuts and seeds are going to provide you with what we consider the good source of fat. So this would be our unsaturated fats. So there's 3 different types of fat. There's saturated, unsaturated, and trans. Unsaturated is what we really want to focus on, and we want to have very little saturated and even smaller amount of trans fats, if at all. So nuts and seeds are going to have the unsaturated fats. You might be familiar with the terms monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and then to dive into those a little bit more are omegas. So you're all pretty likely quite familiar with the term omega-3s. So your nuts and seeds are going to have a good amount of omega-3s within it. So these are the good fats that are going to keep us full, keep our body going, helping with our heart health, and helping with our brain health. So a great option. Nuts and seeds are also high in fiber. So this is going to keep our bowels healthy, helps keep us full. There's two different types of fiber that you can get within your diet. There's soluble and insoluble. So making sure that you're pairing these together to really help with that digestion. And then finally, protein. So it keeps you full for longer again, and it also helps to keep your muscles strong. So a serving of nuts and seeds, you can have 1 serving per day generally, and that's about 1/4 cup. And then fruits and vegetables, high in fiber, of course. So if you're having an apple, making sure that you're keeping the peel on the apple if you can, just because that's what's going to contain most of the fiber, again, which is great for digestion and keeping us full. Other types of fruits and vegetables are super high in fiber as well, including our green and leafy vegetables. The great thing about fruits and vegetables is that you can pair it with just about anything. So you can pair it with a protein and a fat. So hummus would be a protein source made with chickpeas. So that's a great option. You have guacamole, which is a good source of fat. Avocados have that good monounsaturated fat in it. Peanut butter or almond butter or nut butter of choice. And then cheese as well is a great source of fat within its limitations. So one of my favorite snacks at work, and any of my colleagues who I work with will always notice that I usually have an apple and then an individual packed piece of cheese that I buy in bulk from Costco or the grocery store. So that's usually either my morning or afternoon snack. And then sometimes I'll pair it with peanut butter, just a really satisfying snack to have on hand. Smoothies. So I have another really fun handout that we prepared here in Halifax. I'll post this one now. So this is a build your own smoothie handout. So it gives you a bunch of different ingredients to pair into your smoothie to build your own and make it unique. Now, of course, it's not limited to these options, but these just give you a good idea of some great things to put into your smoothie to make it nutrient dense. So that's it for me. Just about half an hour today, which I think is a good amount of time for an early Friday morning. So I also really like to make mention that with so many changes and adjustments since COVID-19, I really want to say not to be hard on yourself and not expect to completely change your habits. So make room for the treats. There's room in every balanced diet to be able to consume the things that you really enjoy, all in moderation. During this time, it's really not the time to try and become the better you or what you would consider to be the best of you, because there's so much else going on around us that we need to really tune into those things as well. So don't be hard on yourself if you have a couple extra snack foods that you normally wouldn't have. That's perfectly fine, but trying to build habits such as meal prepping, having snacks with you on the go are really going to help you for when we do get back to that normal. So another thing that I like to talk about just quickly here is the PSP Halifax Facebook page. I'll just write this in here. We have some, for those of you who don't follow it, you should. We have some really great resources on there. Fitness, we do live fitness workouts daily. I don't facilitate them, of course, but our fitness department does, PSP Fitness. We have great recreation on there. There's a story time, guitar lessons, crib lessons, and then every Saturday, the health promotion team, so myself and my 2 colleagues, will rotate and will post cooking videos. So it's called Cooking in Quarantine, and they're going to be posted on a YouTube channel, so you can access them through the PSP Halifax Facebook page to learn some great recipes to cook while you're at home. So I have a couple more poll questions that I'm going to post for you, and then also answer any questions you might have. I know the content in this wasn't super intense, but there's some really great presentations if you have the time to go back on and view on calfconnection.ca. There was one, I did one last Friday on nutrition and mood. There's been some great presentations specific to nutrition on all of the macronutrients, your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats. So there's some great options if you have the time to tune in. Okay, so I've posted those polls. And then I just want to end off with these available resources that we all have. So you can take a screenshot of this or jot it down. But these are the available resources for us that I really encourage you to take a look at or reach out if you really need. Perfect. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can type them in. Otherwise, thanks again so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all next week.